who you might have seen many times yesterday as she was hosting upstairs, and she'll be talking to us more about customers. She was one of the panelists in the panel about creating an ideal customer experience, and so we really look forward to diving deep in with her on really what is a customer and then what is a customer, and she'll explain what that means.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is my first time being on a stage, so thank you. So, have you ever felt like you're stuck in this never-ending loop of confusion and frustration, not being understood? Oh, that is exactly why we and you are here today. We're here to talk about the art and science of conversational consulting and conversation design, and how we can turn those frustrating interactions into meaningful, enjoyable conversations. So this is the title of my presentation. We talked about never-ending loop of confusion and frustration, and of course you're thinking about chatbots right now. But that is exactly not what I'm talking about. These 2 days, we're hearing all about the newest technologies, how to make an impact, why conversation design is the most important part of your customers and your company, what makes a good bot, what makes a bad bot, but we never actually hear about us. Us, the people behind the bots, the conversation designers, and the companies, the employers that we work for. The employers that hired us to do our thing, but find it very difficult to let us actually do our thing. Before we dive into the serious stuff, I have a question for you. Who here has ever had the conversation with a product owner, a team lead, or someone else in the company that would say to you, that's a great idea, but... Thank you, thank you. We've all been there, and it's not a pretty sight. But fear not, because I'm here to make sure that all your future conversations, whether it be with a bot or a human, are nothing short of amazing. I hope you learned something today. Who am I? I am Esha Metiary. I'm 31, and I'm from the Netherlands, and I'm a conversational consultant and conversation designer. Right now, I do my thing for Independer, which is a Dutch company that lets you compare insurances. And I do my thing for bol.com, which is the Netherlands' biggest online retailer. Before that, I was a conversation designer for the American Adidas bot, and I worked for Netherlands Department of Allianz, and for the Roads and Transport Authority in Dubai. I worked through Crossface, which is an online content agency, so I know a little something about online content. And today, I'll be taking you through the what, the why, and especially the how of successful conversational consulting. Now, I'm not big on huge slide decks, so if there's anything that remains unclear at the end, please come find me, and I aim to have time for a few questions at the end. So you know what to expect today. We've had the introduction, and I'll introduce you to my 5 most used tools, the 5 W's and 1 H. That's 6, but okay. I'll dive into the customers that make the work the most difficult, and how we can make those difficult customers less difficult and our lives easier. I'll try to illustrate that with a case, and I'll sum it up for you at the end. So, the basics, the 5 W's and the 1 H. Let's start off with that. The what, the who, the why, the when, the where, and the how. Because why are these basics important? Well, plainly, and I think you've seen it the last couple of days, sometimes we are so deep in our own material and expertise that it's very difficult to actually explain what it is that we do and why we do it. For me, the 5 W's and the 1 H is a great way to get through to my clients, but also to keep myself in check, to actually know what it is I'm doing and what I'm doing it for. So the who is what we're actually talking about here today. It's us, the conversational experts, with loads of knowledge and heaps of conversational ambition, versus, and I really call it versus because sometimes it feels like that, our customers, our clients, and the people that we serve. So today is about my perspective and about my findings in the conversational field. The what is about the prestigious projects that we work on. No matter how small or big the company, we all have dreams about optimizing the customer journey, reducing costs to customer support, and generally making content more accessible. Basically, that's all what we believe in. We just don't always agree on how to get there. As a conversational consultant, you're flown in to help a customer or a company improve their bot. They have this set of KPIs. They want to ramp up their NPS. course, reduce the handovers. The usual, and you know it all. We fly in, we make a plan, tweak some things, hand over the plan, and then we get out. It's a done deal, right? Well, it is, if you do it right. We sing our usual song, the song of KPIs and goals, but this is actually our side quest. Our main quest is categorizing our clients and providing adequate advice based on who they are. So don't forget that we, the customer and the conversation designer, have one common quest: improving customer service. And before we can improve customer service, we have to improve the teams that provide that customer service. And why? And that is why I'm here. We do this because we love our jobs. It's simple. We know what we're doing, although sometimes it feels like we've no actual clue what we're doing. That is because our field is moving so fast. All the knowledge that we have today, and we saw that yesterday and today, might be obsolete tomorrow. Welcome GPT-4. And that is okay, accept that. We move in a field where there are few certainties. We can create the shiniest personas, fine-tune our conversational copy, or train our language models the way that we know will create a positive result. But at the end of the day, we do not only work with data and chatbots, we work with people. And people remain creatures of fickle behavior, and we should acknowledge and accept that. So when do we hit that magical sought-after moment when our companies start believing in conversational AI just the way we do? Again, nothing has been proven here, but our enthusiasm and faith, combined with courage, will ultimately lead to synergy, hopefully, in the company. And I hope that a few of the things I'll tell you today will lead you to that moment of your own. The where is kind of an open door. It's set here anywhere. Because we work from home, we can work on the road, we can work from the office, but if we take this a little bit deeper, the where is actually more about the fields and the departments where we choose to make our difference. Too often, and we spoke about this yesterday in the panel, we see that content is divided into silos. There's content on the website that's managed by content managers. The marketing people try to pull people into their funnel. And then there's the knowledge owners that try to push information through those marketing people and the content managers. And then there's us, the conversational folk. You and me, because we work on creating kick-ass chatbots. But what we usually forget is that we also should be focusing on working across all departments, working together, really communicating with each other towards that common goal, the ultimate customer journey. You might say that you're actually doing this already, but believe you me, I've seen few companies that actually do this. Let's work towards that common goal instead of our separate islands. By the way, can I have a timer, please? Yes. So, how do we achieve this goal, this complete synergy, this awesome chatbot and brilliant workflow? How do we kick ass at conversation design and conversational consulting? We know, by the way, by now, that a chatbot is never a finished product. We can bring it up to 80%, but it's never really finished. We continuously improve and iterate, but where does that climb to perfection begin? Some of you might say, start at the data, start at the actual customer conversations and work from there. Some of you might say, start at the FAQs and check if the content there matches the content in your chatbot. Well, I say, start at your customers. Before we can do anything remotely effective, we have to fathom who our employers, who our companies really are, what drives them, what motivates them, but also what sets them off. So let's dive into the types of customers that we have. For the sake of this presentation, I've left out all the dream customers because it's much easier to talk about the easy customers than it is about the hard customers. For clarification, clients and customers in this presentation does not mean the end customer, not the customer that gets to see your product or your chatbot. It is more about your company, your client, your employer. Let's start off with our demanding customers. This customer has high expectations and is never satisfied. They demand immediate responses and expect you to go above and beyond of what is possible. No matter how big your result is, it will never be enough. You can do two things with these customers. You can give them the feedback that they're sucking you dry, or you can get out. I think that this is not the answer that you were looking for, but if anyone has found the egg of Columbus on this one, please come find me afterwards because I'm really curious. And then we have the unclear clients. They are not really straightforward about our requirements or goals. They just want to hop on the conversational bandwagon and join the ride. And then they have to show actual results to their managers. And that's where you come in. These clients are actually one of the easiest to help. What they lack is not so much a vision, but more a broader understanding of what conversational AI can do for them. They think that as soon as their FAQs are live, it's a done deal, the bot is finished, but it never is. What helps in these cases is to explain to them what the basics of conversation design can do. Also, whip out other success cases you've done for other companies or other clients, because if your company is not so much a conversational kindred spirit, your data is your friend. They might not really understand what you're doing, but they will understand why you're doing it. And then the skeptical people. These people have seen it all. They've probably been at the company you just rolled into for 100 years, and they don't really understand what you're there for. They are skeptical and hesitant about any solution that you offer them. And I've seen this with one client in particular. They aimed for a certain percentage of call reduction, but were terribly afraid of botching the customer experience. Even if it only happened for one person, they would be constantly be like, nah, no, we're not doing that. They continuously shut down initiatives that would greatly improve the customer journey, reduce handovers, and frankly, make the lives of the team easier. But because from their perspective, it would mean a negative experience for the client. What they did is that they put themselves in the end client's shoes, and that is something we can never do, because we are biased. They are biased. We may never presume what it is to be the end customer, what they are thinking, what they are feeling, what they are needing. So we postpone our solutions for a couple of weeks because of their wishes and because of them saying no. And because of that, and the result remaining to be seen, they turned into the negative and uncooperative client. They're never fun. I mean, they want you as the expert, right? And they still say no to everything you do. They hired you because you're a conversational expert, and they probably don't have the knowledge in-house. Also, you're probably expensive, and still they say no. This customer of mine that was aiming for the call reduction, but wouldn't move or budge with anything I offered, became this source of negative energy for me, of frustration, and I decided that something had to be done. But what you say? We have a couple of tools in our toolbox that help us do our job the easiest. You know, the basics, analyze where your customer chokes, where do they drop out of the bot, improve recognition, containment if you must, you know it. But people are afraid of the things that they cannot see. And there we have one of our most important cues, I think, people. Because while your manager might be cautious or distrustful, they are not the only people or the only person in your team. And I can be here up on this stage telling you or reminding you of what you should do, what you shouldn't do, but I am not the Messiah, and neither are you. It all comes down to the people surrounding you, your team. And I say this every time, and I will keep stressing this, conversation design is a team sport. It is up to us to connect with the customer and what has value for them, and you will find the most value in your team. As a consultant, whether you're temporary or not, find out what those roles in your team mean. Who is the person that completes the puzzles? Who is the conversational copywriting rock star? Identify each role and empower the people for those roles. Take them with you in your process and do it together. So let's take all of the above, everything I just said, and illustrate it with a case. In the case of my skeptical turned negative client, what did I do and how did it work out? To sketch the situation, they recently expanded their chatbot into the wild field of WhatsApp. And I say wild because the nature of WhatsApp and the company that holds the reins over it doesn't really let you have complete control of what you put out. WhatsApp is such a different medium for bots that we and the end customer used to, and this means that we also need to reintroduce our end customer and our own clients on how to communicate with it. It just doesn't work the same as our desktop or app chatbots. And because of that, my client was very anxious to experiment with anything or everything. They've added topics along the line, the topics on which they caught the most traffic. But instead of turning the medium for the maximum of its worth, they decided to hand over 90% of the use cases, 90%, straight into the hands of capable service experts. Strictly speaking, they had brilliant accuracy, but it kind of defeated the purpose of having a chatbot. And customers were happy, but it meant that they would never achieve their goal of a drop on handovers of 25%, and this was over Q1, Q2, Q3, a drop of handovers 25%. In all, when I joined the team, they had a handover percentage of 97. It was partially misrecognition, but mostly designed. In my first week, I saw a couple of areas where they could improve greatly. Back then, they had a character cap of 300 characters, but if the customer decided to type more than 300 characters, they would go straight to handover. If the message was within the character limits, but the bot didn't understand, they would go straight to handover. So I gave my client a list of a couple of low-hanging fruit solutions, a couple of best practices like a not understood reprompt, or a reprompt asking the customer for a shorter message. However, the product owner I was working with feared that having the bot try again would only frustrate the customer instead of helping them. Yes, of course, it meant that we would be taking a gamble, but all my arguments were thrown in the wind. For a couple of weeks, I did nothing. I laid low. I added a couple of topics that I saw that was traffic on, but after a while, it was making so little difference that I decided to be bold and brave. Together with a very dear team member who's also conversational crazy, we implemented a new character cap with a reprompt and a not understood reprompt. We didn't tell our product owner anything until after the handover started to drop, and drop they did. In just a couple of weeks, and I'm saying 2 weeks here, we went from a handover percentage of 97% to 84%, which was well over the target that we had for Q1 and Q2. So, in conclusion, I'm within the time, yes. Our product owner remains suspicious still. It's just within her nature. I'm not going to change that. They still double-check the conversations, but they are now much less wary about our bold moves. Because that simple conversation design trick proved itself. My skeptical turned negative client turned back into a cautious yet happy and embracing client. The data speaks for itself, but what helped me most in the end was understanding where my client came from, what category they were in, but also understanding the entire team surrounding it. I'm sure that when I leave, and leave I will, they will no longer need me, and that makes me very happy. So use your people skills and your conversational skills, and everything will be all right. Thank you.
Questions for Esha? Did I hear, that was a raised hand?
Hi, Esha, I'm Alice. I was just wondering, can you tell me about the weirdest things your client asked you to change, where you think, oh, no, don't do that?
It's not very weird, but the clients always ask us to push as much information towards the end customer as possible. And especially for these legacy companies where they've never heard of conversational AI or did just something into it, they think that more information is actually better. And I just heard Mike say that someone actually told it that in Germany, more information is indeed better, but here in the Netherlands, or with us in the Netherlands, it's the other way around. So not the weirdest thing, but people still pushing a lot of information through their bots is probably one of the most frustrating things ever. Yeah.
Yeah. Like lawyers that want you to...
Lawyers, marketing, that just think, oh, we can use this bot for our ends and for our goals. No, that's not how it works.
Okay, and how do you respond to them? How do you act upon, hey, I want you to... they ask you to tell everything that is not possible. Let's say they need 5 things to say, which is way too much. So how do you react to them? How do you push them like hey?
I used to be very blunt, but I've grown a little in that department. I used to say, no, we're not going to do that. Great idea, not going to do that. But now I really ask them for what is the cause and what is in it for the customer. And if they're not able to answer any of those questions, then I'll still be like, nah, great idea, but we're not going to do that. So they can explain themselves to me, and then I'll decide if we're going to do that.
Okay, thanks. Great advice.
Thank you.
Hi. At the beginning, I don't know if it was at the beginning, but earlier you said that there are differences between the behavior of the users in the web chats or app chats and in WhatsApp. And to me that's very interesting because right now I am in a couple of projects where what we are telling is that we can mirror the WhatsApp experience in the web chat experience. And I wanted to see what are your insights in this difference of patterns between each channel.
The basics, good question like this. The basics are, I think, that people are kind of used to having to communicate with chatbots, and they know that on desktop or app they do not use full sentences but talk a little bit staccato. But chatbots on WhatsApp is fairly new, and people are used to chatting with each other. You and me will chat with each other, and I will tell you my whole life story, and that is exactly what they do with chatbots in WhatsApp. So we need to re-educate them on is it a chatbot? And that is something that comes up often these days. Have the chatbot introduce themselves, but also let the chatbot tell them what are the capabilities and what are the limits. So indeed, have the chatbot on WhatsApp say, I am a chatbot, I do well with smaller messages, so that people will know, oh, there's a chance that when I go on WhatsApp with a company, it might be a chatbot. It's all about identification on the conversation design side.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone in the back? I think I saw a few phantom hands. Going once, going twice. All right. Thank you so much.